Um, I'm going to talk a little bit how nutrition and lifestyle impacts your mental health. So let's start with some of the more traditional mental health treatments here. We have, of course, we have our therapy, counseling, and what have you. Then there may be medications that need to be prescribed. And then sometimes hospitalization may be required. Okay, so those are like the traditional mental health treatments. Now, as a dietitian, I look at this and I'm saying, what's missing here? What's missing from these treatments here? So I'm probably, y'all can probably guess what I'm going to say. But the thing that's missing here is food. Nobody ever thinks about food as being like a treatment for a mental health treatment. So, did you know that what you eat can also affect your mental health? Think about that for a minute. Yeah, what you eat can affect your mental health. And for me, this particular light bulb kind of went off in my head after attending a course. So I worked in behavioral health for 3 years. So I'm quite sure you're familiar with the types of clients that I had to deal with. So there's a lot of medications involved, little to no physical activity. The dietary intake for most of my clients was, in my opinion, horrible. Um, so I took this course, which kind of discussed the nutrition interventions for mental health. And, it was a very eye-opening experience because at that time I had set up my program to include physical activity, um, food demonstrations every month, and just general overall different lifestyle factors. So when I took this course, I learned that those particular elements were like crucial to mental health treatment. And I was like, okay, so I am actually doing something right here at these facilities. So from attending that class, it just totally changed my whole outlook of how to go about treating or interacting with clients who have mental health challenges. So yeah, so food is definitely a strong component there. So that's what I felt that was missing from the traditional treatment methods for mental health is the food component. Okay. So, which led me to want to kind of focus on three elements that directly impact your mental health. Sleep, and I put sleep at the top of the list. Definitely sleep, physical activity, and of course food. Yeah. I'm not going to spend the whole presentation talking about food, which is probably what y'all thought I was going to do. But you have to uh, really talk about sleep and physical activity before you even get to the food. So we're going to go one by one. So these are basically the physical basis of mental health. So we're going to go one by one. So I'm going to start with the one that usually gives most of my clients and including myself, is the sleep issues. So I always evaluate sleep in a new client. And hopefully, I want to know, do therapists, counselors, do y'all evaluate sleep as well when you're doing like an initial assessment?
Absolutely.
Okay. This is like a new thing for me. So that is actually part of my assessment. Now I always evaluate sleep. How much sleep you getting, especially if you're trying to lose weight. So what I usually tell my clients, if you're not getting enough quality sleep, that's really going to slow down all your weight loss efforts. And in fact, you may put on a few pounds. And people who don't get enough quality sleep tend to eat a little bit more than others. So that's the direct connection between not being able to lose weight and not getting enough sleep. Okay. And a lot of people don't, when we discuss this, They're like totally floored because they did never made the connection. So there is a direct connection here. So, and when you don't get enough quality sleep, sometimes you can, if it goes on for a while, you can feel like you're losing your mind. And a lot of times you'll get diagnoses that are, not necessarily depression, anxiety, psychosis. It's just you're not getting enough sleep. So it's manifesting as, some of those same symptoms. So sleep is very crucial. And like I said, I include sleep in all my initial assessments. So what happens when you don't get enough sleep? Okay, depression can be a result of prolonged sleep deprivation. You might not be as alert as you should be, and you just wreaking all kind of havoc on the roadways, causing accidents and all of that kind of stuff. And like I said before, not getting enough sleep, then you might gain a little weight. And the thing is, when you don't get enough sleep, your body does not produce enough of the hormone that says that, okay, I'm satisfied, I don't need anything else. And it overproduces the hormone that tells you to eat more. So it's a hormonal thing when you don't get enough sleep. You don't get enough sleep, you might find yourself having frequent headaches. So if you're having frequent headaches, assess your sleep patterns and behaviors. When you don't get enough sleep, you don't have the ability or decreased ability to fight off illness. You always got a cold. You just seem like you can't ever get well. Sleep might be an issue. And you also may just be tired all the time. This lady got her head down here and she's just not getting enough sleep. So yeah, you're gonna probably be sleepy during the day, sluggish and all of that. All right, and when you don't get enough sleep, a lot of times you're not in a good mood. And that lady does look like she don't feel like being bothered. So that I know that's how I feel when I'm getting enough sleep. And when you don't get enough sleep, you're not as mentally clear. Your brain is foggy. You can't think straight, and you may not make the best decisions. And the last one here, not getting enough sleep can affect your heart health as well. So that increases your risk for heart disease. A lot of people don't make that connection, but that can happen. So what I want you to do is, try not to skip on sleep. And I always get this question. So Nina, what can I do to, get better sleep and stress relief? And I'm speaking from experience here now. So see, these are some of the things that I do because like I said before, I have some sleep issues myself at times. So all of these things I've tried. So you might want to try some of these. Number one, avoid bright light from these cell phones, these laptops, these TVs. If you're trying to go to sleep, those need to be turned off at least 1 or 2 hours before. And I know that's difficult for some people, but yeah, I'll tell you what's going on here. All of that light that's hitting your eyes is signaling your brain not to produce the melatonin, the sleep hormone. So melatonin is only produced in periods of darkness. So if you're watching TV, you're scrolling on your phone, you're on your laptop, right before you go to bed, your brain is saying, well, hey, it's not time to go sleep yet. So I'm not gonna produce any melatonin. So try that out. I know it takes practice for some of us. But yeah, all of that light coming in is not going to be conducive to sleep. Keep your bedroom at a comfortable temperature, please. Who wants to wake up hot and burning up and you just don't sleep well when it's too hot? So I would say a comfortable temperature is typically between 68 and 72 if you can stand it. Because I know sometimes 68 might be a little too cold. I know it's a little too cold for me, but make sure your bedroom is a comfortable temperature. And get rid of all the clutter in the bedroom if you can. I don't know how you are expected to get some quality sleep and you got stuff all over the room. And, you know, some folks, I've gone over to the house and looked on the bed and they got pretty much looks like everything on the bed. They just slide it on over and get in the bed. How do you do that? I don't know how to do that. I need a clutter-free zone in the bedroom. If any room in the house should be clutter-free, it should be your bedroom. It should be your bedroom. Because you never know, that can impact your sleep. For those of you who use alarm clocks, turn them so you cannot see them. You know, because you know, a lot of times you be tempted, like during the night, you get up and you go and see what you just turn over to see what time it is. Why are you doing that? Obviously, it's not time to get up yet, and that is interrupting your sleep. So, what I do, because yes, I'm old school, so I still use alarm clocks. I don't use a cell phone. I turn the alarm clock around so I can't see it. Who's going to get up out the bed to see what time it is? You know, if you're doing all that, you just need to go and get up anyway. So yeah, but that the same thing with the light is the same issue from the alarm clock. You don't want that, and it's distracting for me. So turn the alarm clock around. Aromatherapy is one of my best. Oh, it's just I couldn't think of a greater invention than aromatherapy. I use a blend of essential oils. I put it in my diffuser and I just let it diffuse. I have a certain mixture that I put together just for sleep. It works like a charm. If y'all are interested, I can either write it in the chat or just send it to you because it knocks me right on out when I have time to do it. So aromatherapy is a possibility. For you coffee drinkers, avoid the caffeine in the late afternoon. If you're going to drink coffee, drink it in the morning because the effects of caffeine can go from 24 to 48 hours. So if you're having problems sleeping, don't drink coffee in the afternoon because I know in the afternoon some of us get in that we get kind of sleepy. We need something to wake us up. So I'd rather you eat something than drink coffee if you're having sleep issues. If you're not having any sleep issues, then okay, you can have coffee all day long if you want. But caffeine will hinder your sleep if you're having issues. Try meditating before bed. For those of you who can meditate, I haven't graduated to that level yet. I have I get distracted really easy. So meditation works for some. So meditation may work for you. I told you I got a lot of tips now. Limit your daytime naps. There's no need to nap during the daytime if you're having problems sleeping because that's only going to make it harder for you to go to sleep when you're supposed to. Now, if you're going to take a nap, no more than 30 minutes at a time. And to me, I might as well not even lay down if I'm going to just sleep 30 minutes. So yeah, limit your daytime naps if you're having problems sleeping. Regular physical activity, which we will touch on a little bit later. So make sure you're physically active. That does help you sleep, believe it or not. But I wouldn't suggest any strenuous activity before bed because that might keep you, you'll still be revved up. So. And I cannot say this enough because I know quite a few people who are guilty of this. Do not sit in the bed and do your work. You do your work in your office or at the table, or don't sit in the bed. Don't sit in the bed scrolling on your phone or on your computer or just, yeah. Same thing with the blue light thing. And then you just keep your, everything is alert when you do that. So it's not time to go to bed if you're doing it. All of that should be shut down before you even think about going to sleep. Okay. Try not to eat large meals late at night. They don't digest well if you're trying to go to sleep. So definitely don't eat these big meals and then lay down. You don't want to do that. And stop. I would suggest if you're one that gets up and goes to the bathroom, through the night, try to cut the liquids off 2 hours before bedtime. Because what happens is when you get up, every time you wake up when you sleep, you're interrupting your sleep cycle. Your sleep cycle has several stages. And you really want to get to that stage where it's the deep rest, where the repair and restoration occurs. If you keep giving up, you're not going to get to that stage. So I know I hear a lot. People say, well, I can go back to sleep after I come from the bathroom, but you're not going to leave off where you stopped in your sleep cycle. You're going to go all the way back to the beginning. So if you're constantly getting up, you're not going to get that quality sleep that you need. Take a warm bath, and that'll help calm your nerves. Herbal teas, I prefer chamomile or any other tea that will help soothe you, but chamomile works best for me. And the dark bedroom, what I mean by dark bedroom is if you can see your hand in front of your face at night, then your room is not dark enough. Y'all, I can see my hand, so my room is not dark enough. So that's got to be pretty dark. So if anybody has any ideas on how to get a really dark bedroom, let me know. I'd be willing to try it. Okay. So I've said all this to say, don't skimp on your sleep. Please don't. There's no such thing as catching up in your sleep. That doesn't happen. Sorry. You know, sleep that is lost forever. There's no catching, there's no getting it back. Okay, so yes, so stop skimping on sleep now. Stop skimping on sleep. So let's talk about physical activity, which is I get a lot of pushback from clients when it comes to physical activity. They get food part right, they get the sleeping part, but that physical activity is almost like pulling teeth. And it's so important, especially when it comes to your mental health. Most people think of physical activity for your heart health, trying to lose weight, but rarely is there association between physical activity and mental health, because they are related. So it would behoove you to be more physically active, especially if you're having issues like depression. You know, physical activity brings you, brings your mood up. I know it does for me. So yeah, there is a connection there. So I definitely am an advocate for regular physical activity or exercise. I use them interchangeably. So what kind of exercise is best? I get that question a lot too. And I always say the kind you like. Don't go and pick an activity that you don't like, because you're not going to continue to do it. If you're not a runner, don't run. If you don't like all that jumping up and down in class, don't take that class. You do what suits you. Any activity is better than none. So even if you out there in your yard doing yard work or cleaning up around your house, that works for me. Movement is movement. Just move. Okay. So just remember, you have to like it if you're going to keep on doing it. That's the key to long-term engagement when it comes to physical activity. It has to be something that you enjoy. It does. Okay, so when you exercise, there's several benefits that occur with your brain as well as your mood. And one of them being stimulation of endorphin release, which results in pain relief, reduced stress, improved mood. So those are some things that I can get with if it's going to be, that's a huge benefit. That is a huge benefit. When you exercise, you improve your learning and your memory. Who doesn't want that? I love to see elderly persons exercising. That is awesome to me that they're doing that, because yes, I don't know whether they know this or not, but that's helping with their memory. That helps improve your learning and your memory. Exercise increases your metabolism. We always want our metabolism on the upswing, and exercise is a way to do that. Okay, you want to keep your metabolism revved up. And then last but certainly not least, Exercise, once again, improves your mood and ability to cope with stress. So if you're feeling, if you're feeling the stress on you, go get you a good workout. I'm quite sure there'll be some benefits there. There are some benefits there, whether or not you know it or not. Okay, and they don't have to be a long time. You just 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, as long as you're doing something. Because I am a huge advocate for physical activity. I'm always trying to get or promoting physical activity with my clients. So, okay, so how do you stick with the exercise program? That is the question of the day. Some folks get started on a program and they don't stick. For some reason, it's like, forget this. I don't, it's not doing me any good. I don't like it, blah, blah, blah. But how do you stick with it? And like I said before, choose something that you like. Choose an activity that you like to do, and you're more apt to stick with it. Find your workout partner. If you want that added accountability, somebody to motivate you, find you somebody to work out with if you think that will help you stick with the program. And a lot of times it does. So if you're a person who likes to keep up with stats and do competitions or, like these boot camp competitions or any other kind of physical activity related competition, if that motivates you, do that. If that's going to keep you engaged, do that. But the thing is, do something. Okay. And make sure you like it. I can't stress that enough. Make sure you like it now. But you don't want to look at exercise as a chore, because you will not stick with it. You won't stick with it. Okay, so far we have discussed sleep and exercise, which are two lifestyle factors that have a profound effect on mental health. So now I'm going to switch over to the topic that I talk about day in, day out, is the food aspect. So I'm going to start with this myth here, and I'm quite sure you've said it before and you probably say it now. Eating healthy is more expensive. How many of y'all think that is true? I know I can't see you, but I hear that all the time. And I just like, no, don't. I hate that people think that, because actually it's not. But I'm going to put it into a perspective to give you a different perspective to see where I'm coming from with this particular statement. So you say eating healthy is more expensive. So think about this. A processed food diet is far more expensive than a whole food diet. And here's why. So listen up now. Example number one, the oatmeal in the canisters, like the old-fashioned oats. Now, you know how much they cost. They don't cost that much. They don't cost that much. Now, think about your Cheerios. Which one is more expensive? The plain old oats or the box of Cheerios?
Cheerios.
You know them cereals is expensive. Yes.
But what about the flavor? What about the flavor?
What you mean?
The oats, Cheerios
with
taste
the
oatmeal.
But you can doctor up some oatmeal now, but it's still not going to cost as much as that box of Cheerios. Okay, that's one. That's one example. That's one. Example number two. A piece of fresh fruit or veggie or fruit and vegetable supplement in a pill. Which one is more expensive? Okay. I got another one for you, Dila.
Tell me again.
I got another one for you. A baked potato, like a plain old baked potato, or a bag of chips.
Well, now, we know.
Chips are like
a plain old baked potato. How much does a potato cost at the grocery store?
You can get 89 cents maybe. A bag of chips, the family size, is like $6 because I complain when I get it.
That's where I'm trying to go with it. Okay, I've got one more for you. Corn on the cob. Just one corn on the cob versus a box of cornflakes.
Corn, you can get like 2 ears for $1, 2 or 3 ears for $1 in
I
season.
got a whole list of these things, y'all. So y'all see what I'm trying to, you see what I'm trying to say. You know, that eating healthy is not necessarily more expensive if you're focused more on like a whole foods type of diet. Okay, and we'll talk about the difference between the whole foods and the processed. We're gonna talk about that later. But yeah, so when people say eating healthy is more expensive, and I kid you not, I hear it almost every day. I had to explain to them that I just want to give you a different perspective on, you know, when you say that, think about it in a different way. Yes, some healthy options are expensive. And yeah, I'll say that. But as a whole, I would not necessarily say that eating expensive, eating healthy is expensive. And just think about it, you know, just think. But I usually blow people's mind when I say that. But no, I don't think it's more expensive. All right, number 2. Most people need supplements. I always ask if someone is using supplements, so what are you taking this supplement for? Are you deficient? Always. So what do you think about? What are you taking the supplement for? Because the average adult can have all of their nutrients or whatnot met through a healthy diet. You just have to know what to eat and how to eat, how to put together. You don't need supplements. Like I said, unless you're deficient. If you're deemed deficient, then yeah, you know, your doctor may prescribe like vitamin D or B12 but it's very rare that you're going to be deficient in vitamins and minerals, for most of them anyway, if your intake is sufficient. Okay, so I'm a food first dietitian. I don't recommend one supplement over the other, but I'm definitely not anti-supplement because I take them. I take a few, you know, I don't take a whole bunch of them now, but you just want to be careful. You really want to know what are you taking the supplement for, not because you read something on the internet or you did a Google search and you said, well, I think I need, You, for some vitamins and minerals, you want to make sure you're really deficient because you can't overdo it with the supplements. Okay, so try to get your supplement, you know, try to get your vitamins and minerals and things from your food first. And then if you have to, you know, supplements are just that. Supplements are to supplement a healthy diet if you need to. Okay. So don't be around there taking all these different pills and you really don't need them. And definitely watch out for those gummies. I got a lot of clients who they don't like taking pills, but they'll chew a gummy in a minute. Well, what you need to be aware of is that a lot of those gummy supplements have added sugars in them, which is totally defeating the purpose, especially if you're trying to lose weight. You don't need to be doing a whole bunch of gummies. Just look, and that's going to involve you reading the label. So I'm a huge fan of label reading. So yeah. I tell most people just leave the supplements in the store. You get your good old fashioned multivitamin. That'll cover everything. So most people do not need supplements. They just choose to take them because for some reason they think they need them. Okay. I'm moving on because I can just go on and on. So now let's talk about this thing between the whole foods and the processed foods. So as you can see, there are differences between the two. I know you see huge differences between the two. What do you notice most about the whole foods? First of all, they're pretty much unprocessed, they're unrefined, and they are as close to their natural form as possible. That's how you want to eat. You know, when you start, you know, if you look at all the processed foods, well, you know what they started off as, but they don't look like their natural form. They have way more additives and fats and sugars and, you know, things that are, you know, not considered the healthiest of choices. Now, you notice that I have that sliced whole grain bread on the processed side, I meant to put a can of vegetables up there as well, because not all processed foods are unhealthy. No, but they are processed, but they're not all unhealthy. So when people, you used to hear, shop the perimeter of the grocery store, don't go up and down the aisles. I don't believe that anymore, because there are some gems up and down the aisles, like your canned vegetables, which are not, not necessarily a bad thing. No, they had some folks doctors got folks scared of canned vegetables for some reason. No. So you have your beans and all your, yeah. So processed doesn't necessarily mean unhealthy, depending on which food you're talking about. So like I said, I meant to put a can of vegetables up there just to show you that, yeah. But as for the other foods, yeah, well, yeah. So processed foods have way more unwanted additives than the whole foods. And if you think about it, looking at the whole foods now, when is the last time you saw a commercial advertising some, let's see, some rice? When is the last time you saw a commercial advertising some dried beans? Like next to never, like very rare. Now, every now and then I
very
will see
rare.
a commercial about an egg. I don't know why, but you will see a commercial about an egg. But a lot of your whole foods, they don't have to be advertised. They're not advertised. But all these processed foods over here, you see chips, sugary cereals, fried chicken, ice cream, hot dogs, French fries, baby. You see that all the time on commercials and things like that. So they are heavily advertised. They're heavily advertised. And they contain a lot of if you notice that a lot of the processed foods no longer look like their components. Like that piece of fried chicken, doesn't look like that chicken breast over there, even though it's the two different parts of the chicken. The fried chicken has little extra oils and coatings and all that other kind of stuff. So yeah, and we're not gonna get started on the hot dogs. It looks nothing like the and the French fries doesn't look like a baked potato to me, but it is a potato. So yeah, so if you were to eat more of the whole foods versus the processed foods, that would, as far as your mental health goes, that would be way more beneficial. So, and I'm going back to my time spent as a behavioral health dietitian. Most of my clients were on the processed food side. That's all they rarely touched over into the whole food section. So more than likely, a lot of them were probably deficient in certain nutrients. So it's probably a nutrient imbalance, combined with physical inactivity. And I don't know how their sleep was, but it was probably not all that great. But I don't know, some medications will knock you out. But it connected for me. This whole foods versus processed foods things is a very impactful when it comes to your mental health. So the whole foods are the way to go when you're choosing your foods. Okay. So yeah, so choose your whole foods. Choose the whole foods approach to your eating. Is that me? Okay, so now I'm going to give a shout out to the therapists. Now, therapists versus counselors, is there a difference? I'm asking my ladies over here. Is
No,
there a
folks
difference?
use it
Can I use them
interchangeably.
interchangeably?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So, why are therapists so important? So, what I see, when you tell someone you want to change their diet, it's like, they don't want to do that. And I kid you not, everybody that comes to see me, I ask them, is this your first time coming to see a dietitian? Yes. I ask them, well, what do you think? What did you think before you? They're terrified because they think for some reason a dietitian is going to tell them that they can't have this, they can need to stop doing. They just think we're just going to be so strict and just cut out everything they like. It's not what I don't practice like that. I can't speak for other dietitians, but that's not how I operate. But yeah, they get real anxious or antsy about being told what they can and cannot have. All right. So, and I've come to see, and this is quotes that I got from that course that I took. So I did cite her. So these are not my thoughts, but they did, there was some really deep stuff. So the relationship with food is so much deeper than physical nourishment. I catch that during my initial assessment. If I see that there's some underlying psychological issues going on, I will refer out in a heartbeat, because I'm not trained to deal with that. So it's best to work along with the therapist, therapist and dietitian, because dietitians, we're really not trained to, uncover certain, like the emotional, and I stay within my lane. I do. So yeah, I have to realize that the relationship with the food is just so much deeper than just the eating part. Okay? And I have come to realize that my diet education is only a very small part of helping someone eat better. If they need additional assistance, again, I will refer out in a heartbeat. Because if I see they need that assistance, then yeah, I do all I can to get that. And I'm not going to read all of that. I know everybody can read, but it's just basically saying that why the therapists are so important when it comes to issues involving other things, just more than just the food part. And like I said, therapists are much better trained to address these issues than dietitians and nutritionists. So, in my opinion, or with what I've seen over the years, it's easy you'll find a therapist or a counselor way before you find a dietitian. It's harder most people don't have access to a dietitian. They don't. But they'll have access to a therapist or a counselor. So, and then, therapists are way better trained to deal with underlying issues other than, food related issues than I am. Okay. Oh, that's me holding my. So to summarize, I've talked about sleep, I've talked about activity, and I've talked about food, all which are critical components of overall mental health. So all areas affect and all areas are important and a must. If you're kind of slipping in one area, that's going to impact your mental health. Okay, so all of them are related. Just remember that. So if you are wanting to work on either of these three areas, I'll have to let you know. I would be remiss if I did not mention that I would like to invite you to a workshop that I'm going to be doing in May, the end of this month. It's the Refined Health and Wellness Workshop. Travel with me on a 7-week journey of personal growth and development, where we will be talking about refining your movement, your dietary balance, portion control, sugar and water intake, sleep, awareness, self-care, self-perception. All of that we will cover. And we're getting started on May the 30th. So it is an online course. So if you're interested, you can visit my website, join the waitlist, commitment-free, of course, and I'll take it from there. But I'm quite sure you will enjoy it. It'll be really well-rounded. And here's my contact information. I have my website, my email. If you have any questions that you're too shy to ask today, just send me an email. Phone numbers. I am on social media. Yeah, I am. I said that with such enthusiasm. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, just reach out to me anytime. I am accepting new clients. I do accept insurance. So just let me know. And I do, I'm appreciative of the invite. This is what I love to do. Any questions or concerns, just let me know.
Go ahead, Dila. You want to throw some
So,
questions
Dr.
out?
Hall, you talked about the processed foods and the whole foods.
Mhm.
When you're looking at processed foods, as we all know that they have a lot of salt, what would you say is like too much salt and what's not enough, if there's such a thing? I don't think there's not a
Okay,
thing, but
so for the salt, and I use salt and sodium interchangeably, even though there's a
Mhm.
difference, but on the label, you're going to see it as sodium. So you want to aim for the whole day, and it's not a whole lot now. 2,300 milligrams is your limit for the day. That's the equivalent of 1 teaspoon of salt for the whole day. For the
that's how many
whole day.
milligrams?
2,300 milligrams.
23.
But I would
Okay.
probably remember 1 teaspoon of salt before I remember 2,300 milligrams. That's not a whole lot.
Wow, that's not.
That is not a lot. So when you're looking on these labels, on the nutrition facts panel, to make it easy for you, there's a column on the right-hand side that says percent DB.
Mhm.
You want that number to be, I would say 5% and below is acceptable. Anything over 20 is too high. That's an easy way to remember it. If you don't want to just look at all the milligrams and stuff, look at the percent. If you see something that has this 30% sodium in there, that's too much.
Too much.
20 and
Okay.
higher is too high.
Okay.
What are some of the, the foods we eat are filled with sugar and sodium. And, oh, great, we have a question. Oh, good, thank you. Thank you for putting that question in there. That also confirms that you guys can chat. I'll hold my question and answer this one.
Let's see. What are some great sources of fiber? Yes. So we got your whole grains. So when I say whole grains, I'm talking about stuff like wheat bread, brown rice, vegetable pasta, whole grain pasta. So you got all your whole grains. You have your dried beans. They're a great source of fiber. They're a great source of protein too. Nuts and seeds, and see fruits and vegetables. And if you have a gluten sensitivity, then no wheat for you, Chantel. No wheat products. All wheat products contain gluten, which you cannot. Now, is it a sensitivity or do you have like you have celiac disease or you just gluten sensitivity? Because I think we all get a touch of gluten sensitivity. So yeah, so the sources of fiber you want to focus on are the beans, the nuts, the seeds, and some of your whole grains, the ones that don't have gluten in them. You can do oats as long as the oats are gluten-free. So I don't know if you do gluten-free or not, but you know, keep the gluten to a minimum. GI, okay. I get it. I hear that a lot. So you try your best to avoid gluten. So are you just gluten-free, like totally gluten-free, or you just keep your gluten intake to a minimum? Totally. Okay. And you know, sometimes when people think gluten-free automatically equals healthy or nutritious, and that's not necessarily the case, because some gluten-free products are loaded and they're expensive. Well, don't do gluten-free if you don't have to, because it's a fad right these days. So if you don't have to do gluten-free, don't. But if you do, by all means, keep it gluten-free. So I'm quite sure, Chantel, you read labels like it's going out of style, right? Because they'll slip gluten in anywhere. Yes. Even in stuff that you wouldn't even think gluten was there, like soy sauce. Yes, they sneak it on in there too. So and ketchup, yes. So you definitely got to read your labels. That's good. So I already know I got one label reader in the group.
And we have another question.
Let's see.
What foods are good for PCOS? This was on the Q&A.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Y'all switching it up on me now. Let me see. Okay, so with PCOS, with most of my PCOS clients, we typically focus on watching your total carbohydrate intake. We don't cut out carbs, but the carbs that you do eat, you want to make sure they are high quality, meaning complex, meaning they have fiber. So if your carbohydrate source, which includes things like fruits, of course, your starchy vegetables, dairy, your grain products, things like that, like pastas and rice and breads. If they don't have any fiber in them, then find you a different product. That's one way you can be sure that the carbohydrates that you are consuming are of higher quality. So we watch carb intake, definitely try to reduce or, as many of the added sugars as possible, because those are the culprits. And what else did you say? The question has disappeared. I don't see you.
Just PCOS. Yeah, foods for PCOS.
Foods for PCOS. So other than that, definitely avoid a lot of the fried foods, but that goes with anybody though. You don't want to do too many fried foods. Get your fruits and your veggies in. Just pretty much a typical healthy dietary intake, but there's less, there's a fewer restrictions on your carbohydrate intake. So those are the only things we kind of monitor with the PCOS. We try to make sure we're keeping the carbs high quality and not as many as you like.
And what about, we have a hand raised. Sorry, Dila. Go ahead, Dila, while I look at the hand raise.
Dr. Hall, what are your thoughts about protein shakes?
Well, since they are another popular item, I don't really have an issue with them. But then again, with a lot of these protein shakes, you want to read the labels. You want to make sure it is, that you don't have any certain additives that you should not have. If you're going to do protein shakes, make sure you're drinking enough water, because protein is hard on your kidneys. And if you're drinking all these protein shakes and you still dehydrated, that's not a good thing. Yeah. I don't have an issue. I drink protein shakes from time to time. If I'm seeing I'm gonna don't have enough time to eat, I'll go get me a protein shake. So I don't have an issue with them. But I'm more of I get more satisfaction chewing than drinking. So yeah. But protein shakes, yeah, I don't have a
We have a hand raise. I'm gonna allow this individual to talk, and you should be able to. Okay.
Ms. Bob.
Oh, if you can, there you go.
Yes. I have a question about margarine. Is that considered processed? Is that a processed food?
Yeah, Miss Barbara, if you're gonna, what is your reasoning for not doing butter? Because I do butter before I do margarine, because I know what butter is. But margarine, yeah, that's a synthetic
Okay.
product. So yeah, go on and get you some unless you have any contraindications as to why you can't have butter. But I don't know why anybody could not have butter. It's just the amount.
Okay.
So butter, margarine, I'm gonna choose butter.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Remember, whole food.
Right.
Butter is
Okay.
you know, yeah, whole food. I need it as close to the original product as possible.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I'm trying to move this. Was this checkbox in the middle of the screen the whole time? Okay. Sorry about that.
What about
No,
the,
I was blocking information.
oh, I was gonna ask as well. So we mentioned PCOS was mentioned. What
Mhm.
about fibroids? I hear about women and fibroids
There's
frequently.
there's
And
really no specific, like, we don't really have like specific medical nutrition therapy for fibroids other than like your general healthy intake. But if your fibroids if there are other issues going on along with your fibroids, then yeah, we would gear towards that. But fibroids in general, you know, I'm trying to think of clients that have fibroids. Usually it's fibroids along with other stuff though. It's usually just not fibroids by itself.
okay,
So I got a couple with fibroids and high blood pressure. So of course I'm going to be geared towards keeping the blood pressure under control. But I'm going through the Rolodex in my mind and see if there's any medical nutrition therapy specifically for fibroids. It's not a weight related issue now, because I know all sizes of women with fibroids. So, that's something I can definitely look up for you though.
okay, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I found a reputable source, so it ain't gonna be just Googling on the Dr. Google.
Absolutely.
Dr. Google get a lot of people in trouble.
Correct.
What they say, well, who is they? You know, I get that a lot. So yeah, I will go to my source and look at it.
Dr. Hall, where can you find this black rice?
I got mine from. I think I got it from Publix, because you know I went in Kroger's looking for it, and Kroger said that they didn't have it. I kind of knew they weren't gonna have it, but I found it in Publix. Black rice,
Okay.
red rice, wild rice, brown rice. Those are the major whole grain rices that I use. Now, not to say that I don't use white rice, but that's what I grew up on. Every now and then I cook a little white rice, but I try to use whole grains when possible. And they all cook well, I ain't gonna say they all cook the same, but yeah, all the whole grain rices typically take a little bit longer to cook. Yeah. So yeah, but I got my black rice from Publix.
What foods would you say are good for decreasing inflammation?
Definitely your fruits, vegetables. Well, I would say more so because of the antioxidants and fruits, especially berries. If you like berries, I would say just berry it up. So fruits and vegetables, definitely your healthier fats like avocado, fatty fish, all of those are anti-inflammatory. Let's see. Hard
What would
healthy
you say is
fats,
a fatty fish?
salmon.
Okay.
Salmon. Why am I blanking on my fatty fish? Salmon. Even sardines, but you know, sardines kind of salty. But they say sardines is, yeah. So I'll give sardines their props. Why am I blanking on my fatty fish? I know I always remember salmon because that's one of my favorites. I eat salmon almost every day. But I
Well,
would
no.
say any fish You know, really any fish will give you the heart healthy fats that you need, but it's just that some fish have more than others. So yeah, so if you're eating fish 2 or 3 times a week, you're good. If you're trying to keep the inflammation down. You want to avoid added sugars, because that's definitely inflammatory. Like all your little sweets and things like that, find some alternatives. Yeah.
And if there's one final question, I know we've gone over a bit, and Dr. Hall,
what
thank
time
you
is
so
it?
much.
Oh, it's okay.
Yes,
No
thank you.
rush.
Thank you.
I already
Thank
have
you.
dinner in the oven.
What are you eating tonight? This won't be the final question.
Oh,
But what are you?
it's warming up from yesterday.
Yes.
It's some red potatoes, cherry tomatoes, and green beans. I roasted them all on one. You know, I marinated them and then roasted them, and then some chicken breasts that I marinated as well. So I made it all on one pan. That's how Nina cooks. I don't have time to be in the kitchen all day. Gotta get those easy, healthy, tasteful meals. So
Nice. Any last questions before we wrap up? Final questions.
I've enjoyed myself.
Thank you. This has been so valuable, and I really appreciate you tying in the sleep and the exercise.
Because most people discount those two, and
Absolutely.
you can't, without those two, you ain't gonna make it. You're not
Absolutely.
going to.
It's so interesting. You know, we'll see folks who are like, yeah, my sleep is just off, or like, I'm just always tired. I'm always tired. And when you ask them about their sleep, they're like, oh, well, I get about 3 hours a night. Okay, well, this is an easy, this is easy. This is an easy fix. Yes.
That get that 3 and 4 hours, and you wonder why you can't lose any weight. That's probably one of the factors. That's that right there. So yeah.
And thank you all so much.
Thank
We'll
you.
go ahead and thank you so much, everyone who joined in. We appreciate you guys being here. Thank y'all, and have a wonderful rest of your week.